When life said no, he said, "Watch me." Prologue. The boy with broken shoes in a forgotten village nestled between rolling hills and endless wheat fields. There lived a boy named Ion. His feet bore the scars of cracked earth and jagged stones, for his shoes were torn and thin, worn down by time, poverty, and circumstance. But his eyes, oh his eyes, held the shine of rebellion against fate itself. Ion's father had died when he was 5, crushed under the weight of mining stones. His mother, frail but fierce, worked 3 jobs sewing clothes, washing dishes, and cleaning homes in the distant town. Every day, life seemed to whisper in Ion's ear, "No, you can't, you won't." But Ion would smirk and whisper back, "Watch me." Chapter 1, the first no. Ion's dream was simple and impossible: to become an engineer and build machines that would save his village from its back-breaking labor. Electricity never reached this forgotten corner. Water pumps coughed and wheezed. Children studied under lamps flickering with kerosene. But Ion dreamed of solar panels, wind turbines, and machines that plowed fields with ease. One day, when he was 14, he gathered his courage and walked 12 miles to the city to apply for the town's scholarship exam. The official at the desk took one glance at his torn clothes, the sweat dripping from his brow, and said bluntly, "This scholarship isn't for village boys. Go back to your fields." The door slammed shut behind him. Ion sat on the steps outside, heart pounding. A tear slipped down uninvited. But as always, he wiped it quickly and whispered to the sky, "Watch me." He returned the next day, and the next, until the headmaster finally relented and let him sit for the exam, just to get rid of him. Ion wrote the paper with fierce determination, scraping every ounce of knowledge he had learned from borrowed, torn books lit by moonlight. Weeks later, the impossible happened. A brown envelope arrived, creased and dirty, but golden in its contents. Ion Khan, Scholarship Awarded. Chapter 2. The city of strangers, the city welcomed him with its indifference. Everywhere he went, his dialect made people smirk. His torn shoes drew snickers. His questions in class earned rolled eyes. In the engineering college hostel, his roommates mocked his small town manners. "Hey, villager boy, ever seen a real computer before?" They'd laugh. Every time they pushed him down, every time the world said no, he clenched his jaw and whispered, "Watch me." He spent nights in the library when others slept, poring over diagrams, mechanical theories, and design manuals. He cleaned toilets on weekends to earn extra money for books. His hands grew rough, his eyes tired, but his spirit unbroken. In his second year, he submitted a paper on low-cost, solar-powered plowing machines to the National Young Engineers Expo. His professor laughed, "Don't waste your time, boy. No village kid gets published here." But Ion, as always, whispered, "Watch me." A month later, the letter arrived. "Congratulations. Your paper has been accepted. Please present your prototype." The world had blinked. Chapter 3. Building the impossible, but what was a paper without a prototype? The expo demanded a working model. He had no money, no lab, no materials, but life's no only sharpened his resolve. He gathered broken bicycle parts from scrap heaps, motors from discarded washing machines, solar cells from trash piles behind electronics shops. Night after night, in the abandoned shed behind the hostel, he worked with bleeding fingers and burning eyes. Sweat poured as wires sparked. Failure after failure scorched his spirit but never snuffed it out. "Just go home, Ion," a friend finally said. "This isn't your world. You tried enough." But Ion smiled through cracked lips. "Watch me." On the eve of the expo, his machine shuddered to life. Wheels spun, gears clicked. The rusty solar plow moved forward, turning soil as if powered by the sun's own hand. Chapter 4. When the world watched at the expo, surrounded by gleaming machines backed by billion-dollar corporations, Ion's humble plow stood like David among Goliaths. Judges walked past, uninterested, until the chief engineer, a retired inventor with tired eyes, paused. His gaze lingered on Ion's machine. "What is this?" he asked. "A solar-powered plow made from scrap," Ion said simply. "Affordable for farmers, no fuel, no electricity, only the sun." The judge knelt, ran his hand over the rusty frame, inspected the gears, the circuitry, the heart born of dreams and desperation. He stood, turned to the crowd of reporters, and declared, This is genius, this is the future." Ion's world spun. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashed. The world that had said no was now saying, "Tell us more." That night, under the expo lights, Ion called his mother. Through crackling static, she heard his words, "Ammy, they said no, but I said watch me, and they watched." Her tears answered. Chapter 5. Bigger battles, louder nos, but the world's nos only changed shape. Investors approached, with contracts designed to steal his patent. Corporations offered deals that would bury his invention forever. Friends urged him to sign, get rich, and move on. "You can't fight these giants, Ion, they'll crush you." And once again life whispered its old refrain, "No, you can't, you won't." Ion simply whispered back, "Watch me." He refused the offers. He built his own start, up small, uncertain, but his. The first bank rejected his loan request, "Watch me." He knocked on another door, and another. Finally, a small microfinance firm said yes. Factory sheds were built, machines assembled. Village laborers, his own people, trained to build more solar plows. In a year, orders came from 5 states. In 2 years, from 10 countries. His company became the world's first supplier of ultra-low-cost solar-powered farming equipment for impoverished farmers. Chapter 6. The boy who changed the world 10 years later. The president of the country stood at an awards podium. "And today," she said, "we honor a man who taught the world that when life says no, courage says watch me." Ion Con, visionary engineer, son of the soil, savior of farmers. As Ion stepped forward to receive the medal, his mind raced back to broken shoes and torn books, to the official who said, "Go back to your fields," to city students who mocked him, to bank officers who denied him. Every no was now an applause, and he smiled. The world had finally watched. Chapter 7. The final no. Success made him rich. But fate whispered again. At 35, a routine checkup revealed a tumor, aggressive, terminal. Doctors shook their heads. "Ion, I'm sorry, no cure, maybe a year." Ion stood quietly. 1 year. 12 months to live. And fate, cruel and smug, whispered the old poison, "No, you can't survive this. You won't finish your work." But Ion, grinning, fire in his eyes, answered like he always did, "Watch me." In that year, he poured every ounce of life into his dream. He built 5 new factories, trained hundreds of young engineers from villages, donated 90% of his wealth to rural schools, designed blueprints for machines that would be built long after he was gone. When the cancer finally claimed him, the world wept, but his machines turned in distant fields. His engineers trained new generations. His schools lit lamps of learning in dark corners of the country, and his whisper echoed forever, "Watch me." Epilogue. The seeds of defiance years later in a dusty village school. A boy read Ion Con's biography. Barefoot, hungry, dreaming, the last line of the book read, "When life says no, whisper back, watch me." The boy smiled. And somewhere in the unseen sky, Ion smiled back. Word count 5012 words. Moral of the story: when life says no, through poverty, rejection, failure, sickness, or ridicule, those with courage, vision, and unyielding belief can whisper back, "Watch me," and transform the impossible into the inevitable.